Hey guys, so as a part of my Q&A series, I've decided to gather a bunch of questions that I see frequently on Quora, questions that I keep being asked at roundups here and there, at interviews, as follow-up questions at conferences and all the other types of events. So they're pretty standard and pretty straightforward, and beginner entrepreneurs and some journalists pretty much love asking those questions over and over again because they're trying to extrapolate and kind of extract some common sense for people who are starting at their day job, for people who are trying to do a journal of their entrepreneurial life as well, and kind of trying to improve their journey as a result. So I don't really think that any of this is going to necessarily be an inspirational type of piece of advice for you in particular, but you can use this as a starting point and decide on whether it's something that's applicable for you, whether it's something that you can benefit from as a result, and then kind of take it from there. So, 8 questions coming in here. First one that I want to start with is, what is your morning routine? One of the common questions that I being asked quite a lot. So I don't have a morning routine per se. Now, since I'm a father of 16-month-old baby, she's about to turn 17 months in just a few days. It's a bit tricky to say because the schedule is more or less dictated by the kiddo. Now, luckily, my wife is super supportive and she's trying to take care of the kid over the first couple of hours or so that I can at least get a few hours of sleep overnight. And essentially, when I wake up, I just try to spend a few hours with the kiddo, a couple hours or 3 hours before I actually start my workday. But another important thing that I want to mention is the first thing that I do when I open my eyes, for the most part, is actually taking a look at my phone, checking for some emergencies, for some critical stuff overnight, outages, downtime, anything else that may have been caused while I was sleeping for the past few hours. So again, I'm trying to take care of this one, potentially emergent messages, Slack notifications or anything else, but it usually takes like 5 to 10 minutes to just respond to the most important stuff, and then just close my phone and stop dealing with it for a couple of hours while dealing with some family stuff. Potentially being alert through my smartwatch, which is kind of one of my favorite devices, where I'm able to take on urgent notifications if needed throughout the morning. I don't tend to start pretty early myself. I'm not an early riser, I'm a late night bug. And also, given my background as a software engineer, this is more or less kind of normal because, again, late night coding is something that works pretty awesomely. And nowadays, it's usually writing and email catch up and dealing with overseas clients and stuff like that. So this is what my morning routine looks like for the most part. Second thing is, what is your typical day? Now, again, I get asked that a lot. So my typical day, again, isn't really a standard. It's more or less like dictated by family. Sometimes where the kiddo is kind of going to the nursery, and I'm kind of driving her up in the morning, then back at the office doing some work, then having some work lunch meetings, some internal meetings, training workshops and things like that. Then going back and picking her up again, potentially spending another hour, probably doing some shopping or doing something else. Going back to the office for 2 or 3 more hours, usually client calls, partnership calls, and other internal activities. Unless if I don't have calls, potentially I may record a video like this every now and then, or I may work on some copy. But for the most part, it's afternoons are busy, so I'm wrapping up at the office at around 8 or 9 p.m. Weekends are a bit more hectic. It really depends on whether we have some family plans or not. For the most part, over the weekends, I try to spend between 5 to 10 hours worth of work, and I try to catch up with the urgent work that I had to do throughout the week. But for the most part, the rest is pretty much content strategy and PR and research and market research and just catching up on competition and industry news, reading some industry books and things like that. So it's nothing too shabby, but nothing too serious either. How do you set your day's priorities? This is number 3. Now that's a good question. I do love, and I have a separate video for this one. It's called the 135 list. And the 135 list actually allows me to record my journey and kind of say, okay, I have this number 1 major priority for the day that I really need to take care of. For the most part, it's something like sending a proposal for a client, or having a very kind of sales strategy meeting that I have to sell on a proposal, or having a consulting call with one of my recurring business advisory clients, or having an important workshop meeting for the team where I'm expected to kind of help a dozen people or more just pump up their level. So it's something that's impactful, something that's serious, something that they really can't get rid of. So that's how important it is. Then I have 3 mid-level priorities that are of a similar margin but taking less time and not as important. Like if I don't have to do them today, It's not going to be the end of the world, but I definitely have to do them today. And I have 5 quick wins that are usually standard stuff, such as I don't know, 10-minute feedback meeting with a colleague, or reviewing a technical post for our blog, or trying to spend 20 minutes on actually reviewing content strategy for my blog, or the marketing analytics, or something else that would give me some insights towards the type of content that I can write about. So this helping me prioritize my day. I try to allocate some time, or I'm trying to free some time up, having a buffer of stuff that I can pull from if I have enough time. I do prefer to be available if needed and have this time more or less flexible in order to be able to act on my own stuff or support my team if needed. So it's just more or less a different mindset. So that's more or less how priorities are aligned for me on a daily basis. Question number 4, how do you prepare for your work day? Now, the most important thing that I'm trying to figure out is the night before I'm trying to take care of my 1, 3, 5 priorities. I'm kind of trying to align my day around the type of stuff that I have to do and basically plan my other errands in between as well. What I'm trying to do is, in terms of kind of other supplements, I do drink coffee. I usually have a couple of lattes throughout the day, one at around 10 a.m. or so, and one at say 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Sometimes I'm drinking some tea, sometimes I'm having an occasional Coke. And essentially, this is kind of how I'm trying to keep myself energized and motivated and up to speed at as best as I can. Number 5, your thoughts on sleep and rest for a CEO. Now, I don't think that sleep and rest are necessarily different for a CEO than other type of entrepreneur or other type of even senior executive or a manager. Like if you're a partner, if you're someone else who has responsibility, someone else who has shares or another incentive to push the needle, as compared to someone who's simply employed and salaried. Now, you do have to push really hard. You have to work extremely hard. When I take a look at my rescue time, I usually have 75 to 80 hours worth of work clocked by the application itself. That doesn't necessarily intercept all of the meetings that we have offsite or other strategy planning where I'm, for example, driving for an hour and a half and doing some thinking through a business plan or preparing for a presentation or things like that. But it's more or less accurate. It's about 80 hours worth of work time spent on a weekly basis. And for people who think that 80 hours are too much, if you take a look at the regular regime, now I'm trying to spend an hour in the morning just catching up on work again, about 10 hours when I wake up, then probably some emergencies or like a couple of calls before I go out and so on and so forth. So it's an hour even before I go out early in the morning. So that's 5 hours a week from Monday to Friday. Then I'm spending 2.5 hours in the evening, let's say from 11 or 11:30 p.m. to about, let's say, 2 a.m. So that's about 10 to 12 hours on top of that, just in the evening, just from Monday to Friday. So when you add this up, it's about 17 hours already. Then I spend about, let's say, 7 hours a day at the office, just from lunchtime through 8 p.m. or so, which is another 35 hours. So again, if you add this up throughout the work week itself, just for the time that's actually booked on work, it's really easy to just go to about 60 hours, give or take, on a weekly basis. Then when I spend some time over the weekend, 4 hours today, 4 hours tomorrow, some brainstorming, presentation thinking, or something like that, or some planned calls when I'm outside and doing some groceries or so forth, you can add up another 10 hours or so, and that's pretty much how it adds up, even if you don't have other emergencies and other kind of important stuff that you need to take care of. And again, sometimes I'm pulling out 12-hour work days at the office, and that's not really something that's out of the ordinary for the most part. And that's pretty much with regards to rest and working hours, but I didn't really touch on the question for sleep. Now, I'm sleeping anywhere between 6 to 7 hours a night. 7 hours is ideal. Sometimes I'm pulling 6, sometimes I'm pulling 5. That's not really, on purpose. Usually there's other stuff that needs to be taken care of, and that's kind of what reduces my sleep schedule.